Greetings in the name of the Lord Jesus. Excited to try to bring you the 2025-2026 proposed budget. Just want to maintain accountability and information. We had an interesting year last year. We fell really behind, and so we sent out a letter, had a major gift come in. Many of you stepped up, and we're doing pretty well right now. Brody and I did take cuts, but I think that we will try to maintain those for the most part as we try to figure out how to manage two services with all the crowd coming in and so forth. So having said that, let's get right into it. Here's the budget, and we'll try to go over it line by line quickly. If you have any more questions, you can follow along. So first of all, these numbers help me and help us in tracking things. This first column here is the categories and the number of the category and the name of the category, and then what we proposed for the last budget cycle, April 24 through March 2025, and what the actual income was later on in expenses, the actual expenses were, and then what we're proposing for the next year. For the most part, last year tells us what we're going to do next year. So and what we have to expect. So having said that, going over real quickly, last year we proposed that we expected in the offering box at the back of the church $87,500. We actually received just close to $84,000. So we're proposing we'll see about $84,000. We have two ways that people can give online. One is through Church Track, and Stripe is the program that we use there. We proposed that we would get $46,500. Actually, $60,600 came in. We're proposing $60,500 will come in through that way. And PayPal is another way. We proposed $13,500. We actually got $17,600. Proposing $17,500. We proposed $147,000. We actually received $162,000, and so we're proposing in terms of tithes and offerings that we look and pray to expect at least $162,000. We do share a facility with other churches. So facility leasing, we have Iglesia Pentecostal, the Father's House, which is closed down. Their pastor passed away, unfortunately. And then Pastor Dorado's Church La Hermosa. We expected $6,000, got $6,000. We expected $7,000, got $7,000, a little bit more. They're upping. We've asked them to up, but we will be receiving about $6,000 less than previous years because this church is no longer there. However, we also have the rental units. We have the rental units 910 K Street. We budgeted that we expected to see $25,000 come in. We actually saw $23,000 come in. We expect that we should get $25,000. Now, that doesn't include expenses come out of that for that, which we'll look at later. The men's home is 1504 El Rancho, and we charge them a fee for that, which covers some of the PG&E and so forth. So the Spirit of God actually, in a sense, pay rent for there, and that we're not changing that. So also with missions is interesting because missions in this line just represents all the missions that we support. And if somebody were to give in excess of, we give a total of 10%, and I will show those percentages later in expenses, but we give to international ministries, which is missionaries around the world. We excited to have some ministry in Mexico we've picked up, and hopefully they'll come and share with us sometime this next year, and we'll get to meet them. Baker's Pregnancy Center we support. Here's Life Inner City is a ministry in town that we help, and His Way Out Ministries is with Pastor Phil is doing great work in terms of help people who are struggling with same gender attraction and families. So Wycliffe, my daughter's family, ministers in Bible translation. We support Transformation Ministries, and we have a food ministry, outreach ministry, and if there's other designated missions that people give, notice there's some money that came in. If money comes in, we give it to there, but we don't budget anything there because we don't actually control that or commit to that. We have a commitment of sending out money there, but not necessarily money coming in for that. And then miscellaneous, there are some things that come in from our credit card. We do get some refund every month. Some people donate to music ministry. We do the family camp out where money comes in, and so that's the $2,500 we're expecting to come in from the family camp out. Some of these are just guesses, but that's what you have to live with here. That money coming in will also go out. Likewise for music ministry, what comes in most likely goes out in that. Everything given to a specific fund or a specific thing has to be spent for that. So that is the reality in miscellaneous. So we have to have that in there. Now, there are also some special funds. All that above is what we call general fund. But we have a youth fund, and they have a couple $3,000. I forget what the amount is, but money can come in for the youth fund and go out from the youth fund. Operation E is our ministry to compassion. We have about 6 children that we support around the world. And then the Men of God Fund, they have money that comes in for their ministry. And then we have a women's ministry. That's a fund for that. Any money that comes in for that fund has to be spent for that fund. So all this money that comes in that we're expecting is not to be spent by the church. It's to be sent for those specific funds. They're separate funds. Celebrate Recovery. Continue education for the pastors. The Solar Fund, which we're really not pushing anymore. We're kind of done with that. If you're giving that, just keep giving to add to the your offering. That would be greatly appreciated. Then Lewis's ministry, local ministry, people give to that through us. That's there for us to be able to track. Likewise, Pastor Lewis's Ballers for Christ, some money came in there. So those are funds that come in, has to be spent for those funds. So the total income we proposed last year was $205,552. We actually brought in $255. Some of those was like $37,000 as a result of funds, but all of the above funds and tithes and offerings and facility leasing, we expect to see we're praying to receive $254,875. So that's the income expectations and what we pray for. Now, it would be great if we just brought in money, but we got to spend money. And the first thing our commitment to is missions, as I mentioned before. And so missions, and we 1% of all the money that comes in through tithes and offerings is given to international ministries. 1.5% Bakersfield Pregnancy. 1.5% to Crusade. Here's Life Inner City. 2% goes to His Way Out Ministries. 2% of all the tithes and offerings go to Wycliffe. 2.5% goes to Transformation Ministries. We say 0.5% goes to food ministry. We're kind of combining these two because they're combined, and we expand on this a little bit as you will see. But so this number over here is just based on what we expect to get in terms of tithes and offerings, and then a percentage of that. So if we get more, this number rises. If we get less, this number decreases. These numbers on food ministry and outreach ministry, uh, we're highly committed to ministering in the neighborhood with this. So um, budget is a guide, not a controls, but we certainly have to manage our money well. So um, and then the special funds, we don't just get money in, we have to send money out. So the youth fund, it's up to the youth program. They have money there they can spend. We're just basing the numbers on the right here of what we actually spent last year for the most part. If they have more money in their fund, they can spend more money. This is not a limiting factor here. What's limiting them is how much they actually have in their fund. Operation E, that's what we're committed to for the years, actually 2010. We do like to see that come in. Men of God Home spent $29,438 last year, so we expect them to spend something similar. So women's ministry, similar wise. Celebrate Recovery, expecting that to probably increase, but and then Continue Ed is a new fund where that comes in as a fund for people to give to that. Solar panels expenses, we still are holding out $8,000. They have never billed us. I'm not sure if they what's going to happen there. I'm going to have to talk to them and see if they're ever going to bill us for that. It'd be great if they're donating that, but we have to hold that $8,000 out until we see otherwise. And then these other funds, again, are controlled by the people managing those funds. We control the money, but we don't spend it on the church stuff. It's spent on their funds. But we have to expect how much money is going out to a certain degree. And then in terms of the church budget, the general fund for all of the church stuff, we have different categories: Christian education, church and family expenses, and we'll see other categories. But we don't spend money on a nursery attendant anymore. Nursery supplies, basically we budgeted, we spent this, so we budget what we think we'll spend next year. The church is growing, so that'll increase. This is what people in these areas can expect to spend. Two factors is if we're hurting finances and they need to say, hey, can we afford to spend the budget? Two, if we're growing and they have to spend more than budget, they can come to the pastors and elders and we can say, yeah, we can spend more because we need to. So the budget is a guide more than a controlling factor. It guides us. Preschool, some of these monies for preschool and elementary, maybe we budgeted this much and we're not sure necessarily if some of this might have gone to here, but basically we keep in this budget. Actually, we're raising it for Sunday school, children's Christian education stuff in both categories, because we assume there's a crossover there. Children's ministry likewise. Sometimes it's hard to know where to categorize things that are spent, curriculum, etc. The youth, we're budgeting $500 for them. They have a fund, a significant VBS. If we're doing VBS, there's some money for them. We really don't budget much money for adult ministries. We do budget money for Bibles. For children's ministry, we do have to do background checks, and so the money's for that. So sometimes we give gifts when children graduate, and we also have to spend. Takes money to train and equip teachers with just CPR, a variety of things, and any time of training we can do for them. So, and in this area again, if we got the money and we need to spend more, we can do that if we have to. Christian family expenses. People die, we usually support with some meal for the family and support and do some things in the fellowship hall. Hospitality, People come, we have some snacks and foods, etc. at the church. We like to send pastors and leaders to some conferences for training. Family camp out brings in money, but it costs a lot of money, so we have to budget for that. We like to do a Christmas appreciation dinner for our leaders, budgeting some money for that. And maybe some of this $320 went to that. It just wasn't put in the right category when we logged it in. But so we budgeted that, just miscellaneous for a safety factor. So, and then family worship. We have to put words on the screen that goes out on streaming and in the church, and to protect ourselves, we have to copyright license, which is $650. Church is growing, that might be going up. Costs us to live stream. Music supplies. We may be spending more than this. We have some equipment we need to get, but we budgeted this much. Video supplies, budgeted that $200. Sometimes we bring in another speaker. We have a lot of speakers in house. We don't usually bring in another speaker too often, but we have some money to bring somebody in, and then always a little miscellaneous just to cover expenses we might be thinking of. And there's office expenses. Our database and financial record keeping is a company called ChurchTrack. MailChimp we use to send out emails. And mass emails. Dropbox is a program to store our files that we can access from home, the office, or different computers, and we use it for all the video stuff, etc. A copy machine and ink and so forth, pretty expensive, producing a lot of stuff. We spend, I think, Microsoft Office is going to be going up, so we budget $120. And office supplies, we budgeted $1,700, only spent $12. We raised it to $1,500. These are just guesses where we are, but it helps us to have a sense where we've been, where we might be going, to be responsible. Planning Center is a program we use, the worship team uses for managing the music ministry. Postage, we still have to send some things out. Twilio is a messaging service we use to send out text messages for mass texting type of stuff. In case we need tech support, we budgeted in there. We do pay $225 for our webpage. We have Zoom that we use at different occasions, Thursday night Bible study, at other times that we spend $150 a year. We budgeted $500 equipment. Hopefully that'll suffice. We always have to pay some city and state fees and bank fees, and those are included there. Just pretty much expectations that we and reality of previous year, and so that affects what we spend there. We have an alarm system, and we spent this much. I'm not sure that we'll spend that much again, but because we added some stuff, but you never know, we might add some more stuff. But anyways, we budgeted $500. PG&E, we're still having to spend a lot of money at PG&E. We'd be spending a lot more without the solar, but still we got a budget about $14,500. Actually, there's two bills we get for the church, and PG&E is affecting most. I mean, the solar affects most of this one. So, $16,000, which is a significant amount per year. Lawn care, just equipment. The Men of God do that. Thank you, Men of God. We do have pest control, supplies and maintenance. It's an old building, but we only spent less than $4,000 last year, but we still budget $5,000 for this year, just in case. The telephone and internet service combined, and with streaming, we have to have the fastest and most reliable internet we can get. Cal Water's pretty expensive. It's only going to be going up. PG&E's only going to be going up. Trash pickup, believe it or not, we spend $3,000 a year for trash pickup. I think we missed the payment and we'll catch up next month or something here, but it's going to be $3,000. We pay some money to Amazon Prime because we buy a lot of our supplies through Amazon, and so it's cheaper to have free shipping with that. Sometimes the fire marshal comes, costs $100 to check out our facility to make sure we're up to snuff. We do have some vehicles for fuel. We budget $2,000, and for upkeep $800. Men of God's share in that, and so sometimes it's a little bit lower, and as they pick up half of the deal, or sometimes even more of that. Solar panels, we did take a loan, so we're paying $500 a month, and we'll be paying that out for that. So those are the facility, buildings, and property expenses. Then we do have property expenses in terms of the house that Brody lives in. We have to pay taxes. The Men of God, we have to pay taxes on that, and the church building we have to pay taxes on. And as a 501c3, we don't actually pay taxes, but there are still other fees, garbage, a variety of other stuff that's covered in these fees. We just budget the Men of God and Brody's house some money in case we have to do repairs. And then what we call Sanders, 910 K Street. Nellie Sanders, most people don't know, but she donated a lot of money for us to buy the fourplex, which gives us great income. And so Nellie Sanders was her name, so we called it the Sanders K Street. We were able to reduce water. We had some renters that were really using water, really using PG&E. It went down, and so those PG&E water will go up, but we've been able to reduce the usage there, which is good. Pest control is necessary. Repairs, we just try to budget what we might need. This is we do have a mortgage on this. We still owe about $85,000 on it. Paying $822 a month, and it's bringing in more than that. We do pay $4,000 a year for taxes, so real estate taxes on that. And insurance is going up. 11,000. We budgeted, we spent 12. We were 13. That probably might even be higher. Plus, we have an umbrella that they call an umbrella, which covers increases and covers everything. And we have auto insurance that the Men of God share with us, then workman's comp insurance. Insurance alone is $17,000, might even get up closer to $20,000, but that's with the fires, insurance going up, and so forth. So a lot of expenses go up, just like it does for everybody else. So we budgeted 13.4 last time. We budgeted 17.2, and that might not even be enough. So you can see how insurance is a factor for us. PG&E, water, all those things. And as I mentioned earlier, in terms of pastor pay, we reduced my pay last year, and we didn't reduce Lewis's. We've discovered some things about how we do pay Social Security and taxes for pastors. So this figure here is we're moving over to here. This is the way the IRS really likes us to do it. We're trying to, we are overall increasing Lewis's salary. He's got a lot of kids. We need to make sure they're fed and clothed. So and we don't want our pastor having to go out on a second job or something like that. So we need to make sure they're doing okay. So the pastors do get is a housing allowance rather than pay. It benefits me in terms of IRS issues. Likewise, blesses Lewis, Pastor Brody. We're providing housing, which is a little more than 9,600, something like that, for the year, depending on what number you want to place on the value of house. But we have reduced his workload as well because he's got a full-time job, and it's just asking too much, we think, to do everything else that he was doing. So we're trying to cover CE and let him pastor and manage a lot of the other worship and sound and technology stuff he's really good at too. So and then secretary, we pay minimum wage. Church is going. We raised it here. We're not raising her salary above minimum wage, but we are anticipating we might have to increase hours. And so that's the reality. So total expenses, including all the funds and so forth, we expect to see $253,029.40. We expect to see income for all the resources we have, $254,875. Not much difference here. A little cautious because with all the tariffs and stuff, we don't know how we are going to be impacted. If we do this, we have to make a budget. We have to do the best we can, and we will adjust as we have to adjust. But this is the budget we have. Any questions or comments you may have, please feel free to contact myself, and I will try to. And if you have some great ideas or big questions, we don't mind at all. We want to be transparent. We want to be open, and I know some churches that don't like the people who know what money's coming in and where it's going. We think that if we're transparent, you can have trust and faith, and so it's not our money, it's God's money. It's not our church, it's God's church, and so we want to be accountable to God. We want to be accountable to you. So any questions, don't be afraid to stop by or call. God bless. Thank you for being faithful. Please to be as faithful and prayerful as you can be. God bless.